Hello and welcome back to Taking Back Saturday, a Happy Buyers Club podcast where we break down the real estate market each and every Friday to help home buyers build confidence, follow a process and hopefully buy really happy. I'm your host, Chayse Jones, and joining me is longtime friend of me and the show, my mate, Sam Hunter. How are you, friend?
OG, very well, mate. Thank you for having me. Yeah, why not? Let's go with that.
Nice. It must be your, let's call it 60th appearance on the pod.
You've got the awkward hands on this show, and I've just got the awkward intro. And everybody who listens to this every week is like, why do I listen to these guys every week when they start like this week after week?
Hey, listen, they're always a surprise. Like Sam doesn't know. There's no notes here. We're just doing it.
We're riffing.
Seat of our pants.
That's it, man. It's all here.
Well, hey, let's hope so. Mate, this episode, which I think we earmarked far out months ago that we were going to do a podcast for the sellers. A very crucial part of real estate. Typically, in most transactions, there's got to be a seller for there to be a buyer. Not too many happy buyers without a seller of some sort. So we're going to go through absolute top to bottom. You know, selling sucks.
For
Just
sure.
like real estate sucks. And here we find ourselves.
I would suggest that selling a house is worse than buying a house because you feel like there's a comment that's always made about buying a property is somebody's biggest financial decision in their lives, and that is the reality of it. When you're selling that biggest financial decision, you genuinely feel like you have everything to lose, and you know when you're waiting for that first open home and it's like Friday night, you don't sleep because you assume no one's going to come through your house, even in a very buoyant market. And we get not quite as many messages from sellers as we do buyers, but we do get a few people who are like, who do we use? How do we go about it? What's the way? Should we sell off market, etc.? And we did one of these episodes 12 months ago with bad microphones, bad lighting, everything. And it was actually until a couple of reasonably well-known real estate agents joined us on this show, it was by far the most listened to episode. For whatever reason, because we're not trying to sell houses, people listened, which was cool. So we think it's time to revisit that coming into spring, coming into that traditional selling season in the midst of a very buoyant market to kind of run through some advice for free.
And that's it. You're welcome, everybody. And I think we should probably start with moving.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think that is the trickiest thing for the vast majority of people to navigate is how do I go from the house I'm in now to what I hope to be my next great property? And how does this all work in between? You know, they might have been out looking, browsing, offering on properties for months with their property still unsold and wondering why they're not getting offers accepted, why they're maybe hesitant to make a move. It's something that we talk about with potential clients and clients who are looking to engage every other day.
For sure. I think that real estate journey, it does start with the thought to buy. Every seller starts as a buyer. You don't decide to sell your house before you've thumbed your way through realestate.com.au for a while, before you've probably gone to a few open homes, before you've seen something that you've gone, I'd have bought that. But what do we do about our place? And there are so many moving, pun intended, parts to that journey that it's just overwhelming for so many people. You're only doing it twice in your life, ideally, right? You're ripping up what feels like hundreds of thousands of dollars in moving costs and fees and stamp duty and everything when you do it. So sometimes it just makes sense to sit on your hands. And that's why there's such a low stock. I know that's a very sort of in-industry piece of language, but that's why there's so few properties on the market, right? Because there's so many sellers out there who would move but just can't be bothered because it's an exercise.
Yeah, the logistics of it is just terrifying for a lot of people.
Yeah.
One, they don't want to find themselves homeless. And then on the other side, they don't want to find themselves, having bought and then under the pump to try and sell their property for a price that enables that move to happen.
And maybe that's where we start this sort of conversation. I would imagine, and this is for anybody who is not a first home buyer, right? There is always a thought that the way to do it is to buy first, sell after the fact, and whether you're lining settlements up, whether you've got bridging finance, whatever it is, because again, we both got young kids, we understand it. We would probably think about doing it that way if we were moving ourselves, just because you kind of want to line everything up and only move once, and you don't want your kids to feel like they've lost their bedroom more than once and all that sort of thing. But buying first comes with its own levels of stress and its own usually additional costs. So maybe we talk about the ups and downs of buying before selling first, and then we can actually talk about how you go and sell your house for hopefully a fair amount of money, but at the moment probably a reasonable amount of money.
Nice. But I think starting with trying to buy first, and a lot of people are in the market right now trying to buy first, subject to the sale of their own property.
Correct.
Now, the reason why those people are probably hitting a lot of roadblocks is that, one, it's a very competitive market right now, and you need to put yourself in the shoes of the seller, who has probably spent months preparing their house for sale, making sure it is absolutely, showroom ready and in a way that's going to get them the best possible result. You come in, even if it is a fantastic offer in terms of the price point and the rest of it, but you are subject to the sale of your own home. They're not actually sold at that point. If you are subject to sale for another 2 to 4 weeks, they are hopefully sold, but they are still waiting for you to transact on your place.
There's pressure on them and pressure on you.
Sellers want certainty, and that's why those offers are put to the bottom of the pile. So keeping that in mind, if you are actually dead keen on this move and wanting to buy and move up in the world or whatever it may be, think about doing it the other way around. And we talk about it with our clients how many times before we told to bugger off? No less than 5 times. Because alternatively, you are buying a property without that subject to sale clause on there. Maybe you give yourself an extended settlement time frame in which to go and get a result on your own place, but that comes with it a whole different level of stresses. You are now on the hook for both properties, and you have to sell your property. In any negotiation, you want to be in a position of power, let's say, like where you don't need something to happen, but you certainly want it to happen. If you find yourself that you need to sell your property and potentially need to sell it for a certain price, that is
pressure.
That is pressure.
For sure.
Yeah. And we've certainly seen it, never with catastrophic outcomes or anything like that, but we've certainly lived the stresses of that scenario where we've had families that are like, we want to know where we're moving to, we want to know what our kids' lives and bedrooms and schools are going to look like ongoing, and then we'll run the gauntlet to sell our place, and it will sell. And yes, invariably they have sold.
Yep.
But there were some stressful weeks, months to get us there. And again, if you can identify all this ahead of time, just know what you're in for. Now,
sorry, I was going to say, stress aside, there's a statistic that was around in the very late sort of 2010s in Brisbane, where if you bought a property before you sold and you were that traditional kind of upgrading family, you were left with 4% less in your pocket than had you sold your property first. Now, call it back in 2018, average house price in Brisbane was probably $650,000, so that's 20 grand, right? Now it's probably closer to $40,000. If someone said to you, hey, put 40 grand in the fire pit, light on fire today, but you'll move house, you'd probably be like, well, I don't really want to just waste $40,000. So is there a better way of going about it? And it comes down, we're going to talk about this in a moment, it comes down to method of sale, strength of your agent, picking the right person. But don't just make the decision that we are 100% going to buy before we sell until you've kind of understood everything around it. You've spoken to a broker. We're not huge fans of bridging finance. It does feel like a very expensive exercise. There are, in some cases, more expensive than moving twice, depending on the price point that you're buying and what you're actually bridging. But it's a good conversation to have with a broker up front, so you can weigh up all of your options before you just blanket say, no, we're going to go and buy first, and go out there. And buying with a subject to sale clause, if you do need to sell your home, in my opinion, this is a strong opinion, is the only way to buy before you sell. Buying without one is pressure and scary, and it may be the difference between you buying that property or not. My view is miss the house, put your place on the market, or find the next one with a subject to sale. You will save yourself stress, you'll save yourself time, you'll save yourself money. 100%.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I said, we've lived through these scenarios. Like we've bought subject to sale. They were quite unique because we might have been the only party that were negotiating with those sellers. When you're in competition with 15, 20 other groups, pretty unlikely that that's an offer that they would consider. Again, we've bought properties where we've given our buyers, who are then sellers off the back of it, 90 days, 6 months in which to sell their property. Invariably along the way, if they had if they'd received an offer on their place that just got them off the hook, that enabled them to make that move, they would jump and accept it. Whereas if they were doing things the other way around, they're in the position of power in which they can squeeze every last dollar. Control. That's the word I'm looking for, is that they control that negotiation. They control how they sell their property, as opposed to being like, whatever we can to just get rid of it to make that move possible, or to get us off the hook for 2 properties.
I think one of we say real estate sucks all the time. It's turned into the kind of pseudo tagline for our business, because that's a really simple way of describing the experience for so many people on both sides of the fence. The reason that it sucks is because of the perceived lack of control, right? You get told when you've got to go to an open home. You get provided the photos. You get provided what feels like limited information on that property, and you get provided a date and a time that it's going to be sold, whether that's 3 weeks in the future or whether that's
Monday
best of finals by 10 a.m. on Monday. Give us your best shot. I'm not telling you anything else, right? That sucks. On the other side of the coin, you as a seller should, with the right agent, with the right process, feel like you have all the control. You don't have to sign any like you could want $1.5 million for your property. Someone could offer you 2.5. You don't have to sign the piece of paper. You probably would, but you don't have to sign it. So you have more control. You are giving up more than just a level of control when you've got a commitment elsewhere and no recourse but to kind of get out of it by any means possible when you're just hoping for a great result. People smell that fear, right? Even in a rising market, they'll smell that fear. And
it's like, they've bought elsewhere.
We'll say it 5 times on the show. I just don't know if it's worth it.
That's the thing. So in our best advice, and we talk through this with our clients, is about, going through the process of getting your house prepared for sale, selecting an agent that you want to sell your property with, and finding a way in which you can get a premium price for your property, but also with the flexibility of a longer settlement, a rent back, time, control, so that you can then go and confidently attack the market and buy well as well. So hopefully sell for a premium and then have the flexibility to go and not feel like you're going to be living in a tent in 30 days' time, and go out and actually find the right property and pay the right money for it because you're not under pressure.
That is the fundamental difference between good real estate and everybody else. Is everybody else will say, we can have it online by the weekend. We'll only need 1 open home. We'll do price by negotiation. We'll take offers and they'll bring you a 30-day settlement. Anybody who tells you that the right buyer is only going to give you 30 days or even only 45 days just wants to get paid. That is the harsh reality of some of the real estate practices, not just in Brisbane, but all over the world. The right agent's going to bring you a strategy. They're going to bring you a campaign. They're probably going to bring you the buyers even beforehand to test your motivations, to kind of give you what you want, to see if there's anything out there, right? And that's what we're going to talk about next week. Yeah,
100%. I think that as a big overview here is that selecting your agent, understanding their processes, giving yourself every opportunity to sell well, but then also then be able to go out and buy well as well is the key here, right? And it is possible. We've seen it. We've seen it happen before. And if you have that result tucked away, your place, sold well, with flexibility, you become the best buyer in the market.
For sure.
Because you're motivated, you've got money in the bank, you've got an unconditional contract on your property, and you know your numbers. That's another thing too, is like if you start working with imaginary prices about my place will definitely sell for this much, geez, you better hope that you can. Because if you eventually find a property, buy it, and then quickly put your place on the market and find out within a few weeks that money's not there, or there were objections or challenges that maybe you were blind to because it's your home and it's never been an issue for you, but yet the 30 groups that came through have all told you otherwise. That's scary.
For sure. And it's just that's the one variable you don't know until you hit the market.
And let's try and take away those unknowns. No surprises.
No alarms, no surprises, as much control as possible.
Hey, I love this. This is a 2-part seller series. So that's the wrap on number 1. He's Sam, I'm Chase. Cue the song.